Sometimes it seems as if the only constant is change. This is true more than ever in the law school admissions process. 2024 was a big year of change in law school admissions, and I expect this trend to continue in 2025. Today, I'll walk you through my predictions for law school admissions in the coming year and what they mean for you and your law school application process. For those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and I personally increased my LSAT score from a 152 to a 175. Now, LSAT score medians are higher than ever. This past cycle, LSAT score medians at all of the top 14 law schools have ranged from 170 to 175. Yale Law School right at 175 for their LSAT median. I predict that LSAT score medians will continue to rise in the coming year. We'll see what happens when they come out over the next few months, but the trend of LSAT score inflation is not going away. Now, there are a couple of different reasons for LSAT score inflation where more law school applicants are getting higher and higher LSAT scores, but I suspect the biggest reason for LSAT score inflation is that LSAC has become a lot more liberal in recent years in granting accommodations for things like extra time. All you need is a doctor's note or a note from a qualified professional like a doctor or a psychiatrist, and you can get time and a half on the LSAT. You can get double time, triple time, or more. It used to be LSAC was far too strict about granting these accommodations. Now the pendulum has swung the other way, and they are more liberal on this than ever. It used to be they approved roughly 70% of these requests. Now they are approving 98% of these requests, meaning all you got to do is dot your I's, cross your T's, send in that note, and you're probably going to get whatever you ask for. So when we look at why it used to be that you could get a 173 LSAT score and be in the 99th percentile, now you've got to get a 175 in order to score in the 99th percentile. This is the reason why. And so don't look at the LSAT score medians from a couple of years back as targets for what you're going to need. Don't even look at this past year's LSAT medians for what LSAT score you're going to need, because LSAT medians are rising and schools are always looking to get higher and higher LSAT medians to improve their status in the ever important US News Law School rankings. So put in the work that you think it'll take to get the highest LSAT score possible. In my view, there's no reason to ever aim for anything less than a 180. And if you would like my help on your journey to scoring a 170 or above, or ideally a 180 on the LSAT, there are a variety of ways I could support you. We offer live online classes via Zoom, on-demand video courses, small group coaching, and one-on-one coaching. You can check out the links below to find out more and book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out. Now, the second big prediction I have for the coming law school admissions cycle going into 2025 is that we're going to see a surge in the number of applicants to law school due to the fact that this is an election year. Typically, the past few election years, we've seen a significant increase in the number of people applying to law school, the so-called Trump bump phenomenon in law school admissions. In 2016, which was Trump versus Hillary, we saw an 8% increase in the number of law school applicants. In 2020, we saw a 13% increase in the number of law school applicants. That was Trump versus Biden. And of course, an additional factor in 2020 was the fact that this was the first year of the pandemic. Now in 2024, Trump versus Kamala Harris, we can expect another big surge in the number of people applying to law school. We'll see how it shakes out, but typically in contentious election cycles, there are more politically minded folks out there who want to make a difference, help change the system, and they see applying to law school as being a key way to do that. And they see getting a law degree as a key way they can achieve that goal. And so we may see an increase in the number of people applying to law school. But by the way, please don't write your law school application essay about politics. It's a sensitive, contentious subject in a lot of the time. And you can't always assume that the person reading your application will have the same political views that you do. You also want your law school application essays to be about you specifically, not about current events, not about national politics. Make sure that your essay is an essay that only you could write. Now, another big prediction I have for the coming year when it comes to LSAT and law school admissions here is specifically about the format of the LSAT and what it's going to be testing. Now, of course, earlier in 2024, we saw the removal of the logic game section after the June LSAT and its replacement with a second scored logical reasoning section. So it wouldn't be fair to predict something that's already has happened, of course, but what we can expect is that we're going to see an increase in the relative proportion of questions involving formal logic, conditional reasoning, diagramming, and other questions where diagramming might be useful. Because LSAC can no longer test these concepts in the logic game section, they are already starting to test these concepts in the logical reasoning section instead, no longer just on the unscored extra section, but rather this is also showing up in the scored portion of the LSAT. This is not an overt official change to the LSAT, but rather a subtle evolution of the LSAT to encompass a lot of the concepts formerly tested on logic games now being tested on logical reasoning, and the experimental sections are showing even more of these questions, indicating that LSAC will likely increase them a lot in the coming months going into 2025. So make sure that you brush up on your understanding of these concepts and make sure you devote a bit more time to them than you otherwise would have. The three most common types of logical reasoning questions are necessary assumption, inference, and flaw. But while inference and flaw questions will oftentimes include these formal logic concepts or conditional reasoning concepts, necessary assumption questions don't really test them in the same way. So you may want to devote a bit more time to inference questions, flaw, as well as sufficient assumption and parallel than you would have otherwise. Anyway, folks, that's all for now. I hope you found this video helpful. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.